Okay, we're going to be talking about photosynthesis in this lesson. Photosynthesis is where we have some type of photosynthetic organism like a plant or protists like algae that have chloroplasts that are able to convert the sun's light, solar energy, into a chemical form of energy that will later on either become some type of energy source for the plant itself or another organism like a heterotroph that comes by and consumes an autotroph. Heterotroph being an organism that is consuming another organism in order to receive energy, and autotroph being an organism that produces its own food. This is the process by which we are able to take that sunlight and then convert it into chemical energy for organisms to use for their metabolic processes. Photosynthesis receives its energy from the sun, so we are starting this whole process from the energy that we're receiving from the sun. And photosynthesis itself is that overall process where we're taking that sunlight and we're converting it into our molecules like water and carbon dioxide, we're converting those molecules into a chemical energy in the form of simple sugars like glucose. In this unit, it's very, very crucial that you're paying attention to the inputs and outputs of these cellular processes of photosynthesis and cellular respiration. There is a synopsis section at the end of each of these sections of notes, and it's critical that you know which things are going into each process and which things are coming out of those processes. Otherwise, if you get them mixed up, you're going to have the exact opposite, because if you know photosynthesis frontwards and backwards, then you know cellular respiration. It's just the opposite of photosynthesis, with a few exceptions. Photosynthesis itself occurs in the chloroplast of a plant cell, and then some protists like algae, as I mentioned. You do have to have a chloroplast in order for this to occur, and that's because the chloroplast has a special pigment in it known as chlorophyll that's going to be absorbing every color of light except for those green pigments for the most part, and there's a few yellow pigments that are also not completely absorbed. The chloroplast structure, you don't have to know a lot about it, but you do need to be familiar with what the thylakoid is. I like to think of thylakoids, they're kind of like little green pancakes. This is going to be the site of one of the processes in photosynthesis. And then also the stroma. You can kind of think of the stroma like the cytoplasm of a chloroplast. This is going to be one of the locations for one of those cellular processes. A granum itself is just a stack of those thylakoids, so it's kind of like a stack of pancakes. And then you don't necessarily need to know lamella. Lamella are those little bridges that connect the different granum, the different stacks. And then there is a double membrane, just like in the mitochondria, when we're looking at these in the cell structure unit, there's a double membrane that lets us believe that maybe these were once single-celled organisms. In photosynthesis, there are two light reactions. We call them light reactions because one requires light, though the other does not require light. It can't occur without the other having occurred first. So one of the requirements for photosynthesis is that sunlight, that solar energy. Light-dependent reaction is the first reaction that occurs when we're taking in that sun, and it occurs in the thylakoid. A thylakoid is one of those little green pancakes, so you're having many of these light reaction processes happening in one granum. It requires that sunlight, and that sunlight comes in. The sugars are not made in this step, though we do have those inputs of, we're going to mention that we have inputs of water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide, and we're getting sugar and oxygen as products. We don't do it all at one time. That's why we have different reactions. Different reactants go in different parts, and you end up with different products in different reactions. So the sugars are not created in this step. We're getting ready to make the sugars in the next step. So we're going to put that solar energy in, so it's an input or reactant in this case. It's like the ingredients in a recipe. You're putting those in, and then the oven brings out your cake in the end. That solar energy is absorbed by the chloroplast, and then we end up with these two energy storing molecules, ATP and NADPH, are going to be produced as a product. that ATP and NADPH are going to be crucial for making that sugar molecule later on in the next reaction. We're also going to use that solar energy kind of like a little laser that's going to split those water molecules, the hydrogens from the oxygens. So the hydrogens are going to leave the oxygen, leaving these free electrons. That's where the energy is coming from, is those free electrons that are charging the ATP and NADPH. And then the oxygen leaves as an output or a product. Now the oxygen we would consider a waste product in this case. However, we're going to use that oxygen later from the atmosphere for cell respiration. Splitting those water molecules is going to allow for that transfer of that solar energy by those broken bonds on that ADP molecule. So we're going to use those broken hydrogens, and we're going to use that to attach the phosphates back to the ADP and NADPH, creating our ATP and NADPH. Now, you're going to hear a lot of these high energy molecules. You're like, where did NADPH and NADH come from? These molecules are high energy molecules similar to ADP and ATP. You do not need to know what the definitions or the actual whole name of these molecules is. It's a very long name, and you don't need to know it for the EOC, and I don't expect you to know it. Personally, I don't memorize it. I have to look it back up each time, but I do know that you know that these molecules are NADPH. It's a high energy molecule, and the way that you remember is this one has a P in it for photosynthesis. Later on in cell respiration, there will be another that looks like this, but it's missing a P. It's not in photosynthesis. That's when it comes up. The next reaction, once we have charged those energy molecules, so now we have a charged ATP molecule, we have charged NADPH, we've already made some oxygen, we've used the solar energy to break that water. We now need to put in our other input. So in the next reaction, the Calvin cycle, also known as the light-independent reaction, it was once thought that this was called the dark reaction. However, that's a misnomer. We do not call it that anymore. This reaction, Calvin cycle, occurs in the stroma of the chloroplast. Remember, the stroma is kind of like this cytoplasm of the chloroplast. It's this liquid, fluid substance inside of the chloroplast. This one does not require any solar energy. However, that doesn't mean that it doesn't use solar energy. You have to have the light-dependent reaction to happen before this can occur. Otherwise, you have no energy for it to work. What's going to happen is that carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, that's an input because it's coming into the plant, that carbon dioxide is going to be absorbed, and those energy-carrying molecules, ATP and NADPH, are going to be used to convert that carbon dioxide into simple sugars. Now, in your mind, you're thinking, oh, we breathe out carbon dioxide as humans, and we breathe in oxygen. So aren't those two connected? Well, we just saw that we released oxygen in the light-dependent reaction, and we are bringing in carbon dioxide in the light-independent reaction. So we don't convert oxygen into carbon dioxide. Water is where the oxygen is connected to, and we need a carbon to make a carbon-based molecule like glucose. Glucose is C6H12O6, and yes, you need to know that chemical structure so that you know it for the EOC and for the test. Carbon dioxide is what we're going to use using those energy-carrying molecules, and we're going to convert those molecules into simple sugars like glucose. Now, we can make other types of sugars as well, but the one that we're most familiar with is glucose because we need that for cellular respiration. By using that stored energy, ATP and NADPH are now converted back into ADP and NADH. And as you noticed in the last lesson with ATP and ADP, it's just a constant cycle. Charging and using that energy stored in those phosphate bonds. You do need to be familiar with the photosynthesis equation. So 6 CO2, so that's 6 carbon dioxide, added to 6 H2O, that's 6 water molecules, with the addition of solar energy, so sunlight, it's going to produce 1 glucose molecule, so that's C6, that's carbon 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, so that's H12, and then 6 oxygens, so C6H12O6, so that's glucose's structure, in addition to 6 oxygen molecules, so that's O2. So we have our reactants on the left and we have our products on the right. Our inputs are on the left and our outputs are on the right. Now, the purpose of these simple sugars that we're producing, keep in mind that for some cases, these organisms, like these plants, are going to take those sugars and we're going to convert them into some other form of carbohydrate, like starch or cellulose, that are going to be able to build the backbone of the cell wall that's going to provide it some rigid structure and help it grow nice, healthy, and strong. We can also use it for different cellular processes like cellular respiration and types of cell transport. Later on, when we're going through cellular respiration, it's going to produce ATP to be able to be used for those cell transport processes and protein synthesis. But we could also use it to make other macromolecules or other organic molecules like amino acids, lipids, or nucleic acids by adding it to elements like nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus that are freely floating throughout the body as well in trace amounts. So we can convert it into other molecules as needed. And the way the body works is if you're not going to use it, you either lose it or you store it in some other way, shape, or form. So in your body, if you're not using those sugars, once you've consumed them, your body's going to store it in some type of fat, which is going to be the reason why you start gaining all those pounds. You're converting that sugar that's not immediately being used into fat. So, synopsis of photosynthesis. What did we put in? What did we get out? Our inputs or reactants were solar energy. We put in sunlight. We put in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and we put some water in. These are things that plants need to be able to live. You have to water your plant. Your plant needs carbon dioxide, and it needs a good amount of light. And the things that come out of photosynthesis are oxygen, that was a byproduct from splitting that water, and then those simple sugars, the whole goal of photosynthesis to make those sugars like glucose.